Ethan had always found comfort in routine. Every night, he would walk through the narrow corridors of the Frostara colony, checking the temperature sensors and making sure the heating systems were stable. The icy wind outside howled like a restless spirit, battering the colony's reinforced walls, but inside it was calm, controlled, and predictable. Humans had built this place to survive the harshest conditions, and Ethan took pride in that. It was his world now, or at least the small slice of it he could claim. The lights in his small quarters cast a soft glow over the neat stacks of tools and research equipment. He enjoyed these quiet moments, sipping a warm drink while reviewing schematics for the energy grid. There was satisfaction in knowing that the colony systems depended on his skill. Nights like this were predictable, and that predictability made Ethan feel safe. But tonight the calm was broken. A faint scraping sound came from the vent near his window. At first he thought it was ice settling, a normal sound in a colony buried under Frostara's frozen plains. Then a soft thud followed. He froze, listening carefully. The sound was deliberate, almost hesitant. Someone or something was outside his door. Ethan set his drink down and quietly moved to the door, pressing his ear against the cold metal. There was a soft whisper, almost inaudible, but distinct enough to make his heart race. "Please, I need warmth." He stumbled back a little, startled. This was not a typical night. The colony had seen its fair share of accidents and equipment malfunctions, but a visitor at this hour was unheard of. Ethan glanced around, his mind racing through possibilities. Could it be another colonist lost outside? Or some creature that had somehow found its way into the colony? Cautiously, he opened the door a crack. A figure slipped through the gap, shivering violently. Ethan caught sight of her. She was small, delicate, and clearly alien. Her skin shimmered faintly under the artificial lights, reflecting hues of pale blue and silver. Her eyes were large and luminous, wide with exhaustion and fear. She seemed fragile. "Who are you?" Ethan asked, trying to keep his voice calm. The girl looked up at him, teeth chattering slightly. "Leora, my ship." It failed. "I could not reach my pod." Her voice was soft, accented by the strange rhythm of her language, but he understood enough. Ethan hesitated. Helping her was risky. The colony had strict protocols about unknown life forms, but he couldn't ignore someone in distress, especially someone so obviously suffering from the cold. "Okay," he said finally, stepping aside. "Come in, quickly." She moved with surprising speed, sliding into his quarters and immediately curling up under the nearest blanket. Ethan watched her for a moment, fascinated. Her alien physiology was unlike anything he had seen. Her body seemed to absorb and radiate cold differently than humans did, which explained her desperate need for warmth. "Here, drink this," he said, handing her a cup of hot liquid. She sipped cautiously, her large eyes never leaving his face. Ethan smiled lightly. It was strange to feel this kind of connection with someone so different, yet so human in her need for comfort. As she drank, she began to relax, her shoulders loosening. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. I could not survive much longer in the storm." Ethan nodded. "You're safe now. That's what matters." He studied her more closely. Her ears were small and pointed, and her fingers were long and delicate, ending in subtle, soft tips. Her face was expressive, filled with emotion despite her exhaustion. She was beautiful, but not in the human sense. Her beauty was alien, serene, and almost ethereal. "I'm Ethan," he said, trying to bridge the distance between them. "I work here on the colony. You must be from the research expedition nearby." Leora nodded. "I am, but my ship malfunctioned. I did not expect—" She paused, shivering again. "I did not expect to survive the night." Ethan's heart ached for her. The storm outside was relentless. Even with the colony's protective barriers, it was dangerous to be out there. He grabbed another blanket and wrapped it around her shoulders. "You'll be fine now. Just rest." She looked up at him with eyes that seemed too large for her face, glowing faintly under the dim light. "Warmth, it is essential for me. Without it, I weaken." Ethan frowned slightly, trying to understand. "Essential?" "Yes," she said softly. "My body, it cannot maintain temperature without external heat. I rely on warmth for survival." He nodded slowly. He had studied alien physiology in simulations, but nothing prepared him for this. She was not just cold. Her survival depended on human-like warmth, a trait unusual for her species. The thought intrigued him, and a flicker of concern passed through his mind. How long had she been out there? And how had she managed to survive the storm at all? Why did you come here? Ethan asked cautiously. I sought shelter, she said. I heard your life signs, and followed. Life signs? Ethan raised an eyebrow. You tracked me? Her lips quivered in a faint smile. Not you. The colony. I sensed warmth. It drew me. I needed it. To survive. Ethan took a step back, letting her drink and warm herself. This was unusual, fascinating, and a little frightening. Leora's presence was a mystery, but one he could not ignore. He decided to let her rest. Tomorrow they would discuss how to return her to safety. That night, Ethan stayed awake longer than usual, monitoring the temperature in his quarters and glancing at Leora from time to time. She was peaceful now, curled up under layers of blankets. Even in sleep, her alien features were captivating, and he found himself wondering about her life, her home, and the journey that brought her here. The hours passed, and the storm outside showed no signs of easing. Winds howled, ice banged against the colony's hull, and the entire world seemed trapped in frozen chaos. Yet inside there was warmth. Not just the heat of the colony's systems, but the quiet warmth of two lives intersecting in an unlikely moment. In the early morning, Ethan awoke to find Leora stirring. She looked more alert, her shivering diminished but not gone. She turned to him, her eyes filled with gratitude and something else he couldn't quite name. Trust. I am ready to learn about your world, she said softly. If you will teach me. Ethan nodded, smiling. We'll start slow. You'll need to adjust to the colony, and I'll need to understand more about you. She inclined her head, a faint glow in her eyes reflecting curiosity and intelligence. Together they began the slow process of bridging the gap between human and alien, warmth and survival, fear and trust. Later that day they ventured into the main lab. Leora was fascinated by the equipment, by the human approach to engineering and survival in hostile environments. Ethan explained the basics of the colony's power systems and heating grids, and she absorbed it quickly, asking precise questions and offering observations that surprised him. Her species clearly had advanced cognitive abilities, capable of rapid learning and analysis. Their partnership began to grow organically. She demonstrated techniques from her own civilization that could improve energy efficiency in the colony. Ethan, in turn, taught her human problem-solving methods. The two of them formed a quiet bond, one forged in necessity but strengthened by curiosity and mutual respect. As evening fell, the storm outside lessened slightly, but the icy wind continued to rattle the colony. Ethan returned to his quarters, expecting a quiet night. Instead, he found Leora already curled up under the blankets, looking at him expectantly. I need warmth, she said softly, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. It helps me think, survive, feel. Ethan chuckled lightly, feeling a mix of amusement and admiration. You can have the warmth, but only in a way that's safe and respectful. She smiled faintly, settling in with him at a safe distance, her eyes half closed, clearly comfortable. The night stretched long and quiet. Outside, Frostara's frozen plains glimmered under the weak light of distant stars. Inside, two very different beings shared a fragile, growing connection. Ethan realized that this night was only the beginning. Leora's arrival was no accident, and her dependence on warmth hinted at a mystery far larger than he could imagine. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for now the immediate danger had passed, and trust had been formed. And in that quiet, shared warmth, Ethan felt something he hadn't expected on this remote, icy world: hope. The next morning, Frostara's icy plains stretched endlessly under the pale sunlight. Ethan woke to find Leora already standing by the window, staring at the swirling ice storms in the distance. Her skin glimmered softly in the weak light, and she seemed almost translucent, as if the frost outside had reflected within her. Good morning, Ethan said, careful not to startle her. Did you sleep well? She turned, blinking her large, luminous eyes. Better, but I need more warmth before we move. He nodded and handed her a small thermal vest he had kept for extreme cold exposure. She donned it quickly, the material adjusting perfectly to her alien physiology. Thank you, she said, her voice soft but firm. Now we must see the anomaly. Ethan frowned slightly. The anomaly? Leora's eyes flickered with concern. The readings from the ice layers. There is energy, something hidden beneath. It could be dangerous or important. Ethan grabbed his thermal suit and tools. He had been trained to investigate unknown energy signals and anomalies, but he had never encountered one connected to an alien visitor. Yet the urgency in Leora's voice left no room for hesitation. Together, they moved through the colony's passageways toward the main research hub, the floor vibrating faintly with the hum of the colony's energy core. In the lab, the monitors displayed flickering lines of data. Sensors embedded deep within the ice were picking up irregular energy pulses, patterns that resembled no natural phenomenon. Ethan examined them closely, adjusting the calibrations. "It looks like something buried under the ice," he said. "Could be an old alien device, or maybe even a lost settlement. But the energy signatures, they're unlike anything I've seen." Leora leaned over the screen, her eyes narrowing. "It is ancient. My people, we know of these signals. They come from a civilization long gone, capable of controlling heat, energy, even life support systems." Ethan's curiosity piqued. "You mean this device could affect the whole colony?" She nodded. "If unstable, yes. If controlled, it could help many." Without hesitation, Ethan and Leora prepared to venture outside. The storm had subsided slightly, but the wind was still strong, and frost covered every surface. Ethan double-checked his survival suit, while Leora's alien physiology allowed her to resist the cold better than humans, though she still preferred the warmth he provided. They climbed into the colony's exploration rover, a compact vehicle designed to traverse the frozen terrain. The ice below them cracked occasionally, but the rover's reinforced treads handled it with ease. Leora pointed to a location several kilometers away. "There. It is buried beneath the largest ridge." The journey was tense and quiet. Ethan focused on navigation, while Leora occasionally glanced at the horizon, scanning for signs of instability. As they approached the ridge, the energy pulses became stronger. The ice glimmered with faint blue lines as if something below it was alive. "This is it," Leora whispered. "The source of the energy." Ethan stopped the rover and stepped out, the wind immediately biting at his face. Leora followed, moving carefully across the ice. She extended her hands toward the frozen surface, and Ethan watched in awe as the ice shimmered and weakened beneath her touch. "I can sense its structure," she explained. "It remembers energy. It responds to warmth." Ethan realized that her dependence on warmth was not just biological. It was connected to this device somehow. He placed his hand on the ice as well, feeling the faint hum beneath his palm. The energy was alive, responsive, intelligent in a way that was almost sentient. "Be careful," Leora warned. "If we disturb it too much, it may react." Together they began to dig carefully, using both human tools and Leora's precise alien touch. Layers of ice melted and refroze quickly under her influence, revealing a smooth, metallic surface underneath. Ethan ran his fingers along the object, amazed at the craftsmanship. The device was vast, stretching deeper into the ice than he had anticipated. Strange markings covered its surface, glowing faintly in response to the warmth emanating from Leora and him. It's incredible," Ethan said, awe in his voice. "It's a survival system, but on a scale I've never seen." Leora nodded, her eyes wide. "It was designed to protect life. Control heat, energy. It is sacred." Suddenly, the ice beneath their feet shifted. A low rumble echoed across the ridge. Ethan grabbed Leora's arm. "Watch your step!" The device pulsed with a stronger light, reacting to the human presence. Ethan realized that it was sensing them, not as intruders, but as beings capable of warmth and life. Leora's eyes glowed faintly, and she whispered, "It recognizes us, warmth, life." They carefully inserted a control probe into the surface, following instructions Leora provided. The device hummed, energy flowing through their hands into the colony's grid. The ice around them melted slightly, revealing more of the intricate patterns carved into the surface. For hours, they worked, stabilizing the device, redirecting its energy, and ensuring the colony would remain safe. Leora's knowledge of her own civilization's energy systems proved invaluable, guiding Ethan in ways no human manual could. As they finished, the device pulsed one final time and then became silent, dormant but stable. Ethan let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. "We did it," he said. "It's stable." Leora smiled faintly, her luminous eyes reflecting relief. "You humans, you are strong, clever, warm-hearted. My people rarely see this. Ethan felt a sense of pride but also humility. Here was an alien visitor, dependent on him in some ways, yet she had taught him more than any lesson he had learned on Frostara. He realized that humanity's resilience and adaptability were qualities that even advanced civilizations respected. As they returned to the rover, the sun dipped below the icy horizon. The frost glimmered, painting the world in hues of blue and silver. Leora turned to him. "Will I be safe here?" "You'll be safe," Ethan promised. "The colony is stable now, and we'll make sure you can rest without worry." Back at the colony, they carefully monitored the device's energy flow. It was stable, but its latent power hinted at future possibilities. Ethan realized that Leora's arrival was no accident. The device had drawn her, just as she had said. It had chosen life, warmth, and survival, and in a way it had chosen humans too. That night, Leora curled up in her designated quarters, but not before stopping by Ethan's room. "Warmth helps me feel alive," she said softly, a quiet smile on her face. "I trust you." Ethan handed her a small thermal blanket, carefully adjusting it around her shoulders. "Rest well." "You've earned it," she nodded, her luminous eyes closing. Ethan watched her settle in, realizing how fragile yet extraordinary life could be, both human and alien. In her presence, he felt a connection deeper than understanding, a bond forged in survival, trust and shared warmth. Over the following days, Ethan and Leora worked together to integrate the ancient device's energy into the colony's systems. Energy efficiency improved dramatically, and the colony thrived in ways that were previously impossible. Leora became an essential part of the community, respected for her knowledge and insight. Yet beyond the technical achievements, the human-alien connection grew quietly. Leora no longer sought warmth out of desperation alone. She sought companionship, shared understanding, and the comfort of trust. Ethan, in turn, learned to appreciate her alien perspective, realizing that humanity's strength lay not just in technology but in empathy, courage, and adaptability. One evening, as they watched the twin moons rise above the icy horizon, Leora whispered, "I am grateful for your warmth, your trust, your care." Ethan smiled, feeling a quiet pride and hope. "And I'm grateful for yours. You've shown me things I never imagined, about life, about resilience, about hope." The colony hummed softly around them, a testament to survival, innovation, and the bond between human and alien. Frostara was still harsh, still unforgiving, but within its walls, warmth, literal and emotional, thrived. Ethan realized that this was only the beginning. Leora's arrival had not just stabilized the colony, it had changed it, and him, in ways he could not yet understand. The story of survival, trust, and warmth would continue, and he was ready to face whatever came next with her by his side. And in the quiet of the icy night, the shared warmth of two very different beings, human and alien, glowed softly, a symbol of hope in a frozen world.